Hey, Battle Bill, here with another video, and today we're getting back into some more Ultra League Premier Cup Go Battle League battles. As I'm recording this right now, the other video hasn't gone out, so I haven't seen your feedback or your input, but please do let me know in the comment section if you want me to follow this pattern where I'm doing Premier battles one day, regular Ultra another day, and then continue that pattern into Masters. Your feedback and your opinions are valuable to me, and I would like to hear from you guys on that. Other than that, today we are getting back into Ultra Premier because, again, yesterday's video was regular Ultra, and I decided to test out a Pokemon that I haven't used in Ultra Premier before, and it's one that's given me a bit of a problem, and we have a question to answer today. Is Dragonite the best lead Pokemon in the current Ultra Premier meta? Because obviously you can counter Dragonite pretty hard with another Lapras lead or a Abomasnow lead, but I don't see a bunch of those. Pokemon that I typically lead with struggle against the Dragonite lead. I've definitely had my issues while I lead Machamp against it. I've led Venusaur, I've led Alolan Muck, I've led those types of Pokemon and have struggled against Dragonite leads. And Dragonite does win a solid amount of matchups in Ultra Premier, and a lot of those matchups are opposing lead type Pokemon. Like, if you know what I mean? Like the Pokemon you expect to see first, Dragonite is a good option against him, is what I'm trying to say. So I put together a team of Dragonite, Alolan Muck, and Venusaur. Pretty meta team. And the question is, how many leads can I win today, and how many battles can I then pull out after winning the lead? Let's answer that question. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's check out these battles. Shadow Dragonite over regular Dragonite is also a solid option in the lead position just because those Dragon Breaths become so much more oppressive, even though it becomes a Glacier option. Getting into the first match, look at that, we won our first lead. We got Dragonite on Venusaur lead here. My opponent decides to stay in, so what we have to be careful of is multiple Sludge Bombs. Do I plan on shielding? Not really. We kind of CMP tied. I think that was a little bit of turn differential. I clicked on the Dragon Claw late. I'm going to let this first Sludge Bomb go through. Dragonite can handle it to an extent. It did about 2/3 of my health, so I need to make sure I get off this Dragon Claw here and see if my opponent is going to want to commit to this matchup. They decide not to shield. It gets their Venusaur in the red, but I know I cannot Dragon Breath it down before they get off another charge move. We actually CMP tie on this charge move. I get this Dragon Claw off, and my opponent decides to shield, which was fascinating on their part because I can shield their Sludge Bomb no problem, and now I can commit to a Dragon Breath down and leave this lead situation in a pretty positive manner. So I commit to the farm down, waiting to see what their Dragonite counter is. Ends up being a Charmer, but I'm okay with that. Have two pretty good counters for it in the back. I'm going to go to my harder counter in Venusaur because it'll resist the charms, whereas Alolan Muck can deal that poison damage through Sludge Wave, but takes neutral damage from Charm because of its dark typing. So I'm going to get off this Sludge Bomb here. This will most likely get a shield. Gets my opponent's last shield, and now the question becomes, how do they decide to play it out? They swap into Charizard. I bring in Alolan Muck. Things are lined up pretty nicely here. My main goal is to just not get baited. If you tune into my Twitch channels, check the link in the description. I got a bit of an emote called Baited Bill. I'm known for getting baited. I'll repeat that many times. Luckily, did not get baited there. I built up to 2 Dark Pulses, and honestly, I didn't realize that after all the Snarls I dealt, I probably could have Sludge Waved this Charizard to death, but I did not want to take the chance of it surviving with a little bit of health and being able to get off another charge move, so 2 Dark Pulses was a much safer option for me here. So I take out the Charizard, waiting for the Granbull to come back in. It's charmed a bunch. I'm expecting a close combat to come in, which will take me out, but it will also debuff the Granbull. If they throw a Crunch here, it'll be resisted. It will not take me out. I'll be able to get off the Sludge Wave. They close combat me, but I'm pretty much at my next charge move, and a Crunch was not going to take out my Venusaur's remaining health either. So I'm going to get off this Frenzy Plant, finish off the Granbull, and take the first match off to a pretty nice start. And winning lead there was key, because if I didn't, Venusaur would have been lined up with that Charizard, and that definitely would have cost me the match. Also, make sure to keep into consideration, this is only one set of 5 battles. Anything can happen when it comes to the algorithm or RNG that could line up my Dragonite nicely against my opponent's lead Pokemon. Either way though, getting into the second match, we didn't exactly win lead here because we have a Dragonite on Dragonite matchup. Luckily, my Dragonite's PvP IVs aren't exactly the best. It has a relatively high attack stat, which means I'm going to be winning CMP in these matchups, and typically that is not something that happens for me because I go out of my way to get like very good PvP IV mods, and I don't typically make any of my PvP mods until I have really good IVs, but in this case, Dragonite was well worth the investment, and it paid off there because I was able to win CMP, even though its IVs aren't ideal. So they're going for a charge move here. I'm fully expecting the Sludge Wave or an Earthquake. Ends up being a Sludge Wave. I don't mind that going through. I'm going to over-farm, but I over-farmed the wrong amount because as I click on the Frenzy Plant, because I wasn't going to farm down completely, they end up still getting off the Hydro Cannon. So technically I won the lead based on IVs. They swap in a Swampert. I have a Frenzy Plant. I have a Venusaur and a Frenzy Plant to deal with it pretty well. But I didn't exactly play this next part that ideally because my Venusaur is leaving this situation with barely any health and not enough energy to get off a charge move. Yes, it is less for their Dragonite to farm down, but I definitely would have preferred to be able to throw something at the Dragonite when it came back in. So now, luckily, we both commit to a Dragon Breath down of each other, and apparently the IVs aren't that terrible because of the fact that I survived there. And honestly, when I was playing out this match, I did not think I was going to survive. I get off that Dragon Claw, I go for the immediate swap into my Alolan Muck, and the goal here is land the Sludge Wave. Gotta land the Sludge Wave to have any real chance of winning this, so I just go for it immediately. Me assuming my opponent thinks that I'm going to bait, usually not going for the bait, pays off, land the Sludge Wave there. Now it comes down to either me getting off 2 Dark Pulses or trying to snarl it down, both of which are not very easy things to do. So I'm hoping I can at least get it low enough where my 1 HP Dragonite can come in, sneak in a Dragon Breath, and take this match. So they get off 2 Dynamic Punches there. Luckily I didn't get baited. I'm trying to build the 2 Dark Pulses. I'm getting very impatient. I probably should have just committed to a snarl down here, but I was like, let me get the shield just in case I can get the 2 Dark Pulses. And I get to that Dark Pulse, but we CMP tied on it, unfortunately. And they're going to take me out with a charge move. They could have honestly just went for Ice Punch here. That was pretty risky on their part, going for the Dynamic Punch. But Dragonite does come in with that Dragon Breath and just finish off the Poliwrath. So far, 2 matches. Won the first lead. Technically won the second lead, even though it was the mirror match. And now we're getting to the third match, and we'll see how this goes. We get a Lapras. This was fully expected. You want to know what's quite funny, though? I lead Shadow Machamp a lot. You know how many Laprases I run into? This is probably like my first or second one I've seen all season, to be honest with you. But either way, I say swap into a Alolan Muck. They counter me well with Toxicroak. I'm going to get off the Sludge Waves here because both moves are going to be resisted by Toxicroak, and Sludge Wave is better DPE. I feel like I've used Alolan Muck so much that I've said that in so many different YouTube videos. But I have no intentions of committing to this switch situation just because I know I'm going to lose it for a fact. So what I'm going to try and do is get that shield. This Dark Pulse would not take out the Toxicroak, but I was too worried about getting countered down. Luckily they thought it was a Sludge Wave, or they just wanted to preserve their Toxicroak's health, and even though I didn't get switch, I at least left with shield advantage, which is fairly important in me trying to pull out this match. They're going for a charge move. I'm fully expecting a Sludge Bomb here. Ends up being the Sludge Bomb. I have no real intention of committing to keeping Dragonite alive because Lapras is going to pretty hard wall it when it comes back in. I'm expecting it to come in. I'm going to throw this Dragon Claw just to give my Venusaur a little bit of extra help in its matchup against the Lapras, and I'm going to really hope that whatever their last Pokemon is, my Venusaur can take care of it, and it ends up being a Charizard. So there's nothing I can do here. This match lined up perfectly for my opponent. They won lead hard, they won swap hard, and they won the last Pokemon there hard. And it's unfortunate, but this happens in a pretty small percentage of matches. It's more a minority than a majority, these types of matches where you're using a team comp and there's really nothing you can do. So we're going to just play this out. They're going to fire spin away. I'm going to go for a Frenzy Plant here to try and get their last shields. They get to a charge move here. I'm going to shield because Venusaur taking out the Lapras is my only hope in this situation, but there's no hope. Don't get your hopes up. I didn't have my hopes up. Once I saw that Charizard come in, I knew this match was over. I was also hoping I would get a shield there because I threw the Frenzy Plant, but I guess they wanted to save the shield for their Lapras and really weren't worried about committing to the Charizard. So I pull off a quick swap. I leave the situation with a Frenzy Plant, which is nice, but that Lapras still has a shield, even though my Venusaur has 1 HP and it gets off this Frenzy Plant. I gotta admit, considering the situation, I played this to the best of my abilities and kept it as close as possible, but again, a match that I couldn't do anything about. The only thing I could have potentially done that last match to try to salvage it was to commit to that switch between Alolan Muck and Toxicroak, but even committing to the 2 shields, there was really no guarantee. There was a good chance I was probably still going to end up losing that. So, getting into this 4th match, won my 2nd lead, technically, and we're going up against a Wing Attack Charizard. I didn't realize that until literally going back over the set, and those Wing Attacks are doing a little bit of chip damage to Dragonite, definitely more than what the Fire Spins would have done because they'd be resisted, and they're going to go for a Dragon Claw after I just threw my Dragon Claw, and this is still a positive lead for my Dragonite because all that Dragon Breath damage is so oppressive. So they save swap into their Kingdra, I go into Venusaur to counter this, and I have no intentions of messing around against this Kingdra because Kingdra's a very tricky Pokemon. It can bait you and land a Noctizuka, but then not only do you get baited, there's a 50% chance you're getting debuffed, or it can land the Outrage and do a solid chunk of damage to the Venusaur if you don't shield it. So I have no intentions of messing around with this Kingdra. I'm going to shield here just because the situation kind of told me they were going to go for the big move there, and we both committed 1 shield apiece here, and I'm just going to outpace it to the moves. So I was very happy I called that Outrage. I'm going to go for a Frenzy Plant. This should get the Kingdra very low or get the last shields. It gets the Kingdra very low in farm range, which is pretty nice, but they still have that Charizard, so it's not exactly ideal. I'm going to hope I can get to a charge move. I'm going to get to this Frenzy Plant. I could have tried to commit to the Sludge Bomb, but at this point, I mean, both quick moves are dealing super effective damage. I was really just hoping that they would shield, so I sneak in my Dragonite here. And because they called my bait, essentially, they're going to get this charge move to take out my Dragonite. But at least I can go into Alolan Muck, try and snarl it down. They pull off a quick swap into Lapras, and now this match depends on a couple of things. Me landing as many Sludge Waves as possible, I'm not even going to try to bait out the shield, and me calling their big move of Skull Bash. If I can call the Skull Bash, especially because of the fact that my first Sludge Wave got shielded, I can potentially win this match. So they built all the way up. I decide I'm going to call the big move on the first try, and they go for the Skull Bash, which is huge. So now all I need to do is get off 2 Sludge Waves, because I will get to this one and the next one before they get to another Skull Bash. So as long as this works itself out, which it should, I will then be able to take out the Lapras, and when the Charizard comes in, I'll be able to snarl it down. And I do try to get a little tricky here. What I decide to do, because I was just a little worried they were getting close to that Skull Bash, is I throw the Sludge Wave and it doesn't completely take out the Lapras, so I try to swap in Venusaur to Vine Whip it down, and it works perfectly because we simultaneously KO each other, and my Alolan Mug didn't have to worry about taking a charge move, and it finished off the Charizard. So what are we? We've won 2 leads. I think I lost track of my record in these matches, to be honest. You know what I find fascinating is that Dragonite's not even a highly rated lead Pokemon in PvPoke. I know I've definitely seen a ton of it throughout the season. You want to know what is like the top, or one of the top leads? Magnezone, and this is a lost lead with my Dragonite on this Magnezone. I checked the matchups, Wild Charge just hurt too much. I would love to try and call them so I could potentially end up winning this matchup, so I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw here. What I also should have maybe done was wait for them to throw a Wild Charge, so they would have been debuffed, and these Dragon Claws would have done more damage. But as good of a lead as Magnezone is, it is very glassy, but so is Dragonite. It almost looks like we're playing out a Master Premier matchup, because I've seen this matchup so many times in Master Premier, not really an Ultra Premier, and I unfortunately get baited there. So because I got baited, I have no intentions of shielding the second move, and this ends up being their Wild Charge. I do survive with that much health, and I just barely get to a Dragon Claw, which if they decide not to shield, I can technically win lead, which I end up doing, but I'm down to shield, so I don't really consider this a true win. And then they bring in Gallade, and they farm up some energy. Now, I do have a somewhat decent counter to Gallade in Alolan Muck. The issue is that I'm at a shield disadvantage, and the close combats from Gallade still hurt, and the confusions, even though they are resisted, singular resisted, I've been corrected on that, and I've asked you guys about it. Singular resisted. They still do a decent chunk to Alolan Muck also. And I'm looking to call the close combat here just because they can still afford to swap out after throwing a close combat. What I found fascinating was that they did not swap out to try and clear that debuff. So I'm going to go for this Dark Pulse, and this was a mistake on my part. If anything, I should have tried to snarl down, but they decided to shield. So I'm like, oh, awesome, I got a shield. But then again, they're still going to get to another close combat, which they're going to throw here, which I should survive, and I would hope to snarl down, but they swap into their Venusaur, and just unfortunately, because of the way that lead matchup played out, where I went down 1 shield to 2 shields, that's going to end up costing me the match here, because I was able to land that Dark Pulse, which is fine and dandy, but I need to land 2 Sludge Bombs, 1 to get the shields, and 1 to take out the Venusaur, whereas they need to also land 2 Sludge Bombs to take me out and beat me, but they have energy advantage here. I try to make up for that by baiting with a Frenzy Plant, so the question is, am I going to be able to bait? And is this going to be enough for me to outpace to the next move? I land the bait, which is awesome, but it's a race to the next charge move, and they were way ahead of me, especially because I had to go through an extra like snarl, I think, before I threw the Dark Pulse, before I swapped out Alolan Muck, and I just barely fell short because the Sludge Bomb didn't take me out. Very unfortunate, but that lead matchup is what ended up costing me the game. Things didn't line up too terribly after, but that shield disadvantage was key. So, based on these matches, I mean, again, very small sample size. Out of 5 matches, we won 2 leads, one against the Charizard, one against a Venusaur. We tied on the lead, and then we lost 2 leads against a Lapras and a Magnezone. So, I guess that doesn't necessarily answer the question. If anything, it says, no, Dragonite's not the best lead because, you know, if it was the best lead, I should be winning every matchup. But then again, there's also the algorithm and RNG. That all factors and takes it into consideration. So at least I was still able to pull off a 3-2 set. You let me know what you think the best lead in Ultra Premier is. Let me know if you agree with Dragonite or if you think it's another Pokemon. I know PV Pokecat, Shadow Machamp, and Machamp rated pretty high, and I've used those for a lot of matches, and I don't win a lot of leads there. So it also really depends on the meta. So overall, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.